the Meadowlands will have a huge afternoon of racing on Saturday, August the 2nd, when the Hambletonian will be presented, along with the Hambletonian Oaks, which is what we're going to talk about here. But first, we want to let you know about the free PPs we have, free Harness-Side PPs, 7% rebate. We'll have analysis of the entire card and lots more. If you just check out the QR code that's on your screen, we're going to check out the Hambletonian Oaks now. $500,000 is on the line. And this is really, it's part of a $125,000 guaranteed pick four that starts in race number 9. There's another $100,000 guaranteed pick four that starts in race 12, where the Hambletonian sits. And Jay, you look at this field and it's pretty wide open.
There's no question about it. I mean, last week we had 3 eliminations, and I don't think they really helped make a favorite for the race. Obviously, post position might have had something to do with that, but you know, they were close races. They were races that were contested to the wire, and it's really hard to determine from this group which one is the standout, and that's why I'm pretty much think it's anybody's race.
I look back in the history over the last 25 years of this race. Only 2 times has the favorite gone off at 2-1 or higher. Do you think we're going to see a favorite 2-1 or higher here?
I absolutely do. I mean, I just don't know that you can get overly excited about any horse. And, you know, I think that's what makes a great race, and certainly what makes a great betting race. And, you know, I could envision $300 exacta in this race.
Why don't we take a look at how some of these horses got here? We're going to start with watching Miss Belmar win her elimination. And I think the keynote here is that Miss Belmar kind of took a bad step right at the point where driver Andrew McCarthy looked back. Do we put any stock in that?
Yeah, I give Andy McCarthy an awful lot of credit for you know, keeping his composure, and also, you know, even if you watch the last few yards there, it looks like, you know, at that point Miss Belmar picked it up pretty good, you know, at the finish line where it looked like she was getting caught, but all of a sudden that last 100 yards she wasn't getting caught. She dug in.
The horse that was second in that mile was Deja Blue. You know, I think some people are going to put some, you know, credence in the fact that she had some late trot and it was a good effort. She's shown some big races. She has a 52 win this year, you know, but she's kind of up and down.
Well, I mean, I think it was a good trip for her. She got into the right spot. You know, again, the fractions say what they are, but she didn't finish it off. She got a you know, a rail skimming trip, and she didn't finish it off in the end. And I'm still wondering why didn't she finish it off? She had the advantage of momentum, but she didn't beat the other horse. And I think that's what concerns me. Obviously, when you have a pedigree of 2 Hambletonian winners, Deja Blue, you know, is meant to be in this position right here, and theoretically supposed to win.
Couldn't I play devil's advocate and say she finished in 26-1? Isn't that pretty fast?
I think when you don't have to do any work, I just don't have the same kind of glory for an event like that. I mean, I think in the old days, people look for those kind of trips and they loved them. And to me, in this day and age, that trip is pretty much a common trip, and it's a gift if you get the opening.
Why don't we take a look at the first elimination winner, and that's Delaney Hanover. And you know what? This horse really powered home off cover. I think really, even though she's not the morning line favorite, I think she might end up being the favorite at post time, Jay.
I think it was a very, very big effort. I think, if I remember correctly, I think you liked the horse last week, and I think she responded in kind with a big effort. You know, I was a big fan of this horse last year, and the only thing that concerns me at this point in time is the same thing that concerned me last year. Let's see what it comes, you know, when it comes to roughing it. Just, is she going to be okay roughing it? I mean, getting a second over trip and sprinting the last quarter, you know, she's always looked good doing that, you know, but is that the trip she's going to get on Saturday?
A couple of the other horses that came out of that elimination were Sound Judgment, who made 2 moves during the mile and held pretty well, and Champagne Problems, last year's champion, who, you know, finally showed a good effort after a few starts of not being so good.
Yeah, I think it was definitely, I mean, the Sound Judgment, the 44-1 regaining the lead situation, something you don't see, but Ken Oscarson, not a regular at the Meadowlands, and obviously hasn't read the rule book, but he was aggressive, and it worked to her advantage last week, obviously. And as you said, Champagne Problems was an improved effort, you know, good enough to make the final. And, you know, I would not be shocked if she picked up her game on Saturday.
Taking a look at elimination number 3 from last week, won by Conversano. And what I think is interesting here is Conversano's clearing to the front. Looks like she's going to, you know, open up on the field. And then we have the question, did she get lost on the lead waiting for the horses? Did she get a little rough? How do you see it?
I don't think it's clear. I mean, it's hard to get into the horse's head to know what the horse was thinking at any point in time. I mean, I was more encouraged by our charm not giving way in the last quarter of a mile than I was wondering what, Conversano was doing. And I mean, that's what I was like. I think too much effort was paid. She did win the race. But, again, Conversano is a player in this race, and certainly with getting James McDonald, it helps her be a player. I don't know that she would have been better served coming out of the 2-hole, whatever. I think she was fine what she did. She's a player, but I don't know that she's a winner.
What do we make of the fact that we discussed, the final quarters before? What do we make of the fact that that race, the winner came home in 27-4, and then Archon came home in 28? Not exactly eye-catching.
I don't really, want to break the races down like that, because I just don't. I feel that this is a year where they all have a little bit of a chink in their armor. I mean, Miss Belmar almost falling down in the stretch. I mean, that concerns me. The rail, as we said earlier, with the inside draw in a race like this is not always advantageous, and I don't know what it will be for her. I just think it's one of those races that's going to be a mad scramble. In selecting our charm, I'm kind of hoping she ends up third or fourth on the rail as opposed to any other trip. I don't want to be making two moves. I want to be lucky rather than good here.
I mean, I would look at this race as far as early speed, and I'm thinking like almost anyone can leave. A Perfect Annie, Wall Speed, Teresi, Archon is left before Sound Judgment. There's a lot of horses that could be going for the lead here.
Yeah, and I think rightfully so. Why wouldn't she go for the lead? If there's no favorite you need to yield to, you better get out ahead of some of these horses. Otherwise, you might be following the wrong horse. So I think that's the criteria. I mean, that's kind of why I liked Archon, because of the post 4 draw and a likely ability to get to the front. I doubt that I think Miss Belmore's got to push away a little bit, but I think maybe Ken Oscarson will probably be a little less aggressive this week. He doesn't have to make the final, and they're going for 500,000. So you really don't want to overdrive this week. But like I said, I'm hoping that preserves the inside, and maybe like I said, a third or fourth on the rail trip.
We're going to throw our picks up on the screen here and see where I went, because we know Jay likes our charm, but I went with Miss Belmar. I feel like she's finally coming to form. Trainer Noel Daly kind of told me that this is his Sig Sauer this year, who he won, the top trotter last year. Just not the soundest horse in the world, but he's keeping her together and making her do the things she needs to do. And she's going to swim all week, and he's trying to protect her a little bit. But I feel like he's going to take the shoes off for the final. I'm a big fan of that when it comes to Noel Daly, because it seems to work every single time. From what I've seen in the past. As long as I don't have to accept less than, let's say, 5-2, I think she's a good price in here. I use Deja Blue second, more for the fact that I thought it was an improved effort. I thought she could possibly stay close to the pace here, and I thought she'd be some value. Now, if she gets bet down because everyone sees that 26 1/4, I don't want any part of her at like 4-1. I need like 8-1 in North to even take a shot there. And Delaney Hanover, who was really good. I just feel like, especially if you're going to play multi-race tickets, I don't see using, Miss Belmar and Delaney Hanover. I would take Miss Belmar and any other horse almost, but I don't know if you want to be on the two keys. You said you liked our charm. You went with Delaney Hanover second, Jack.
Yeah, the connections have been pointing towards this race, and you have to give them credit for a job well done, at least to arrive here. My concern with Miss Belmar, and even though I agree with you on a lot of fronts, it's just, what kind of trip is that going to be? Is she going to be able to get the lead? Is she going to, because there are limited options when you have the rail. I mean, you can let certain horses in front of you, but, ultimately, I guess you're thinking that she's going to want to be on the front end. I mean, is that your feeling about her? Is she going to be on the front end? So I think there's going to be a question of, can she sustain that speed with horses attacking her?
I really don't mind, whether she's coming from off the pace or being on the lead, because I think she does have a really good burst of speed. I think a lot of the key is going to be how many horses go. If 3 or 4 horses leave and she has the opportunity to make a brush, I'm fine with that. Make a brush to the lead and go dominate. In my mind, I really feel like she might be the fastest horse in this race. I don't know it for a fact, but that's just how I feel about the horse. It's a horse I've been watching for a long time. Whether that will play out like that is tough to say in a race like this.
You know, it's interesting though. It's funny. Conversano won an elimination last week, and somehow I think Conversano is going to be a 10-1 proposition going to post on Saturday, and with James McDonald driving. You know, I'm kind of like, if there's going to be price shopping at the end of the day, and we're looking at what's the best price, I would be looking at Conversano at a 10-1 and above price as being a pretty nice, you know, horse to look at, because, you know, there's no reason why the horse isn't in this picture. And like I said, the outside draw, the struggle to win last week, I think that could be a value play come post time.
Yeah, if Conversano and Deja Vu are the same price, I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind. You got to be on Conversano, and she's shown throughout these races that she has that really quick burst of speed if she needs it. It's just a matter of if she can time it at the right point.
Well, like I said, I'm rooting for long shots in this race, because I just think it's, you know, I just think it's wide open, and, you know, they're gonna have to prove me wrong.
Well, the $500,000 Hambletonian is race 10 on the card at the Meadowlands on Saturday. That starts at noon. This race will probably go off about 3:30 or so. We're going to have free PPs, a 7% rebate, a link to live video, and lots more on the page that we provided the QR code. So check it out. Good luck on Hambletonian Day.